Hello and welcome to my channel. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. The ghost of Lord Kilkevin, whose seat lay in County Wicklow, was an extremely unpleasant master while above ground, and afterwards caused considerable annoyance to his surviving friends and relatives. Not a night passed by without unnatural frightening noises being heard throughout the manor, doors being flung open, keys heard turning in the locks, plates and dishes hurled down from the dresser onto the kitchen floor, tables overturned and chairs flung around. But yet, in the morning, nothing would be found out of its place. When their nerves were frayed and their sanity tested, the family moved on to another manor house many miles from the site of their haunted one. But their steward and old coachman and a few hangers-on remained behind, though none suffered more from the ghastly visits of the late master than the coachman. And before long the night came when he would not get a moment's rest. If he attempted to take a nap in the main hall's great chair, he would hear voices whispering dreadful things into his ears. Sometimes he might be awakened in the night to find large purple bruises on his arms and legs. However, there was one peculiarity in his visitations. The departed lord would never make himself visible to more than one person in a company, and though he often adopted the appearance of a black dog or a raven, and the individual singled out always knew the lord under his disguises. The wives, sons and daughters of the neighbouring farmers once took it upon themselves to have a ball in the big house, for which they readily got permission. All was as merry as music and drink and the assemblage of young men and women could make it. When in the height of the festivities, the old gentleman took it into his head to become visible in a hideous shape of a huge butchered hog. A woman by the name of Miss Fitzgerald shrieked out and fainted, and the universal mirth and jollity came to an abrupt conclusion. When she came back to herself and related what occurred, there was a general dispersion. That was the last attempt at a ball in the big house. I'm a 25-year-old Australian who travelled around Europe last year with my younger sister, who was 20 years old, who for this story I will just call Kay. Kay and I had been travelling around for 3 months by ourselves, then with friends for some parts. We were both interested in the supernatural, so on our adventures we went to a few ghost tours. We explored the underground Edinburgh vaults, Paris catacombs and old supposedly haunted castles. While all these activities were super fun and educational, we never had one creepy or unexplained experience. The creepy and unexplained didn't come until the last few days of our trips, when we were least expecting it. It took place in early morning Dublin before the sunrise. At this stage of the trip, Kay and I were travelling just the two of us, and we were running quite low on money. We had a day trip booked to take us out to see some castles and other sites of Ireland. We had been instructed via email to meet up with our tour group at Dublin train station at 6:30 in the morning. Low on money and not wanting to pay for a taxi, Kay and I decided to get up early and walk to the train station. According to the concierge at the hotel, it would take us roughly 30 minutes to walk there, so we set off at 20 to 6 just to be safe. Being the eldest sibling, I felt responsible for Kay's safety, so I was always very aware of our surroundings. As we were walking in the dark to the train station, the streets were still very quiet at this time of morning. We saw a few people here and there, but not enough to feel completely comfortable. Kay and I had been walking for about 20 minutes when I noticed the shadow of a person approaching us on the sidewalk. I looked behind us to see if we were dealing with someone friendly or not, but nobody was there besides a couple walking on the opposite side of the street, in the opposite direction to us. When I turned forward, the third shadow was still there. This time Kay turned around to look behind us, and when turning back she asked me, "Did you just look behind us because of that shadow?" To which I responded, "You seen it too?" and we weren't freaking out yet. I suggested that it may have just been an optical illusion. Like perhaps one of us was creating two shadows due to the angle of the sidewalk or something. So we tried to prove the theory by putting our arms straight up in the air and waving them around, while watching the three shadows. And we did this, only two of the shadows copied our movements. The third simply kept walking alongside ours. Kay and I both began laughing. It was a nervous kind of laughter. We spent the rest of the walk looking behind us, trying to catch something or someone following us, but we never saw anybody, and the shadow walked with us the entire way to the train station, until it was too bright to see any of these three shadows anymore. Personally, I like to think that perhaps it was a guardian of some sort. I really should have got a taxi. It wasn't smart the two of us to be walking around in the dark in a place that we barely knew. Who knows, maybe the shadow was trying to make sure that we arrived at our destination safely. I've always been interested in paranormal and ghosts, but I had never really thought that I would have my own experience. And in January of this year, I experienced a rather unsettling occurrence in the house that I was renting at the time in County Kerry. I was renting with my best friend. It was a renovated house who would have dated back to about the 1950s, maybe a little bit earlier. Myself and my friend Rachel were quite happy with this house. I did experience some strange feelings of unease in my bedroom over the year I was there, and always oddly felt it coming from the same corner of my room. But I have to admit, I spent many a night with my bedside lamp on. But one of the nights in particular still makes me feel uneasy. One evening, I was standing in the kitchen. Our living room and kitchen were one big room. My bedroom was down the other room on the ground floor, and the door that led into the living room kitchen was beside the stairs. I was making myself some tea, but from the corner of my eye I seen Rachel coming into the room. I turned to ask her if she wanted anything, and I was more than a little shocked to find that she wasn't actually there. I thought that she was playing games with me, so I went to check my room and the stairs, which would have taken me a few seconds. If anyone was running or hiding, they wouldn't have a lot of time to do so. But she wasn't there. I was convinced I had seen her, and was even half expecting her to still laugh. And yet, nothing. I called her mobile phone, only to hear it ringing from her room upstairs and down the little hallway, where she answered it sleepily, and was wondering what was going on. So I explained what had happened to her, and of course she thought I was just trying to wind her up. But I told her I wasn't. I was serious, and of course this made both of us freak out a little. And by little, I mean a lot. I know that people would just say, "Is your eyes playing tricks on you?" But something about this seemed different. But I was convinced she was there, and when she disappeared my stomach sort of dropped, because I think I sensed something wasn't right. After the experience in the kitchen, Rachel told me that she experienced sleep paralysis more in this house than she had in her last two properties combined. She had suffered from sleep paralysis since her early teens, and in various quite unsettling ways. Now I know most people would say that she could just be saying this to go along with the story, but Rachel is not that kind of person. She's logical and incredibly level-headed. To think something strangely paranormal and unexplained is happening to her in equal measures scares and annoys her, because she can't find a logical explanation. I feel that our house was haunted, not by something angry or malevolent, but someone who was just a little unsettled for us being there. So we felt unsettled and uneasy being there at times ourselves. I would outright claim that I had seen a ghost, because I genuinely don't know. But I have read about people claiming ghosts taking the shapes of their loved ones and friends, and thought maybe this could have been the same thing.